I'm TiKevin83, and with me I have JP Xinnam.
Hello, hello.
And Unopened Closure.
Hey, everybody.
Unopened Closure is a new TASer in the Gen 1 to 3 scene. And JP Xinnam has been running FireRed Leaf Green for how long now?
Like
Yeah,
7 years? Close to 7 years?
Close to 7 years. And you've been top 3 several times, right?
Yes, I am currently still top 3.
Awesome.
Always close to the top, but never quite there. But mostly because, as we will shortly see, this game is full of RNG.
Oh yeah, it's a festival. So we're going to get both the RTA and the TAS perspectives on this in this commentary, and I'm going to get that rolling in just a second here. And let's see, I've got to get the movie playback started using the emulator. So this was done originally on VBA re-recording. It does not have a BIOS, so we will not see that time as part of the startup, and the final time of the run is 1:44:28 using the proper frame rate of the run. So let's get this started. Let's try that again. Something broke? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. So let's try this again. Movie, play movie, This is very odd.
Desync already.
Yeah. Classic TAS spot moment here. So this path. There we go. Okay. Now we are starting.
So what's funny is, like, immediately at the start, there's something to say, because there's an L button press there.
Yeah.
And that allows the RNG seed to be more easily set.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, unlike a lot of other Pokemon generations, you can't manipulate encounters and not getting encounters by just providing extra inputs while you're moving. I know a lot of people familiar with Gen 1 manipulation know that. It's essentially just kind of determined at the start of the game. You set a seed, and then the seed recalculates every time you step in the grass, with some exceptions. And then when that seed value spits out a particular number in the equation, you get an encounter. And you can't really... He was manipulating there at the beginning for, I think it's 2 in 65,536 seeds. So a very exclusive seed that he's going to be looking for to avoid encounters before we get Pokeballs.
Yes.
And my understanding is the encounter RNG in this game rolls on like a different seed than the battle RNG.
That is correct. Yeah, it's a completely separate RNG. That's why it can't be controlled, because it only advances at certain positions.
Yeah.
And
so you get this weird effect where you have to manipulate like the entirety of what encounters you're going to get in the game from starting the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on his brute force that he did, you get 23 seeds with 2 encounters.
So I'll mention here, since we picked up our Squirtle, this Squirtle is maybe a little less exclusive than the RTA Squirtle. Someone asked what IVs we have. It has perfect special attack, so 31 special attack and a rash nature. Other than that, the only real requirements are 4 or higher attack IV, and speed. It kind of varies how you want to route it, but at least 5 is probably preferable, and neutral natures for both. So you're kind of looking at either mild or rash for your Squirtles.
And we got to see some help menu RNG manipulation there.
Yes,
I love that.
did.
Oh, the battle RNG manipulation in this is super heavy, because a lot of things can advance it, including opening the help menu.
And I think that looks really sharp with the 60 FPS encode here. Like it's so much cleaner.
we'll get to see exactly how many button presses. Too bad we don't have the Game Boy interface button layout.
Oh
That
yeah,
would've been
it would
fun.
be great to have an input viewer for this.
So you can manipulate the battle RNG in this game, but you cannot manipulate encounter RNG.
Apart from like where it
To the
starts
same
off
extent.
from. Yeah.
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 But the manipulation is basically the same as what we do in RTA. It's just that we have to use a different seed every time. Like the nice thing about the RNG seed is that the trainer ID actually just straight up is the seed. So we don't have to worry about having to do some sort of crazy math calculation in order to figure it out. We can just punch that into the program and it'll work.
Yeah. And TID manip is like completely out of the question for RTA runners, right? Like it would be really difficult.
Correct. Again, so the L button press at the very, very beginning of the run is all about setting up the proper seed for the run. And each input that happens after that L press matters when it comes to what seed you get. So it's absolutely ridiculous.
I can tell you, having tasked this game, the three most frustrating things are that initial encounter RNG manipulation, the trainer ID manipulation, and then one fight in particular that MKDasher just magically managed to make look really easy because his RNG was just super lucky. But the worst one of all is that encounter RNG. I'll also point out we missed it while we were in that last discussion. The movement coming back down Route 1 is a little different from what you might be used to in RTA. Because in RTA, you're trying to minimize the risk. There's one of the encounters we're going to get here. This is one of our HM friends. The movement is a little different because in RTA, you're trying to avoid steps through the grass, obviously, because you don't want encounters before you get Pokeballs. Whereas in the TAS, we know we're not going to get encounters, so we're just trying to minimize steps in general.
And in fact, you can use the steps in order to manipulate the encounters too, because one of the things about how RNG the wild encounter RNG works is that when you load in the map, it resets the encounter RNG as well. So if you, if you need to like reload the map and you'll go into another area, the RNG I can't speak. The RNG that you're on will stay the same, but the let's see, it's like a 1% rate when you're stepping through like the first X tiles of grass, 5 in the overworld, 6 in the forest,
it like it ramps up the likelihood of
ramps
encounters as you get further
and that's
further.
And that's actually relevant when we get to the Sammy fight, because he's going to take a specific path in order to avoid encounters that he wouldn't have gotten anyway. Yeah, it's 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
And I'll point out, so we're YOLO balling all of our catches here. That is also done by manipulating not the weird RNG that only applies to whether or not you get an encounter. The one that we're going to mostly just refer to as the RNG, which is the one that affects pretty much everything else.
Yeah, shiny
Randall
wasting
is
time. We
correct.
can't waste frames in TAS, Randall. This is a TASer. Not tool-assisted shiny, tool-assisted speedrun.
That Weedle and the Ralton Emerald can both be shiny. It's actually hilarious when it happens.
As far as I know, I didn't exhaustively play with it. I think there's nothing you can do at all during that Weedle cutscene. I think it's essentially just a movie.
It's just a
which
movie,
is
yeah.
Amazing.
Which is a nice, kind of kick your feet up when you're tassing. You get a good several seconds. A good several seconds where you don't have to play
frames
inputs.
without doing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that feeling from yellow tassing where it's like, well, I'm on frame 300,000 and my eyes are bleeding.
There's no need to get the antidote. That's that Pokeball there because, again, this is a task. Don't need to antidote.
Yeah, minimal item pickups. I think, other than the PP healing items, I think there's like
You
one?
basically don't get anything else. So again,
Yeah.
we go out this specific path and get seen here,
Mhm.
because otherwise, if he were to talk to the trainer, which is normally the faster way to get through encounters, he would actually get another wild encounter as soon as he exited the fight. So that was the only way to avoid it.
So a couple things I'll point out here. We mentioned the Squirtle has to have at least 4 attack IV. You need that 4 attack IV and not having a modest nature, or else you cannot 3-shot this week. So it's a relatively low bar to clear, but it is a bar to clear.
And then the attack stops being relevant pretty quickly as you get special moosed.
Well, it's done. Your attack doesn't matter anymore. We're not using
Nice.
tackle.
Because we got bubble. Very nice. And the TAS doesn't need a mega kick or mega punch.
Not for a Squirtle.
Not for Squirtle.
Gotcha. So, do you know if MKDasher investigated Charmander at all as a TAS, or is Squirtle the only real option?
I know. Well, so I know his first attempt at this, you mained Squirtle. It was based more heavily on the RTA route, and then another member of the community, Fractal Fusion, suggested using Clefable as the main.
Right, because we switched to
it gets
Clefable
Mega
in
Punch
this
and Mega.
one.
It gets Mega Punch and Mega Kick early. It's got stab with those. They're powerful, and so on. And so I've tried using Charmander. It gets started really slowly. That it's got the same problem here that it does in RTA, that it's just it takes a while to get started. If I was gonna TAS out like a beat all trainers route, maybe I might use Charmander, just because you basically have to beat all the trainers anyway with it to get it ready to beat Brock.
Very cool.
The RTA all trainers route actually uses Charmander as well, just because Scratch is 100% accurate, and as you get higher levels, like it's just way easier to use as a main move against all the lower level things you gotta beat.
Yeah, so you'll notice here we're taking damage a couple of times. That's just to set up Torrent. Anyone who doesn't know, Torrent is Squirtle's special ability. When its health is less than a third of its max total, its water moves deal more damage. So we're setting up Torrent that'll last us for the next 2 Pokemon, and then we'll get hit by one of them. Then we'll get hit by one of them to knock us into Torrent for essentially the rest of the time we care about using Squirtle.
Very cool.
So just
I'll
some... Oh, go ahead.
I'll also mention real quick, because we already passed Sammy. I mentioned it was a 3-shot on that Weedle. It is a shot, 3 crits, and the ranges matter. So it's a hard 3-shot, even with the acceptable attack IV.
That was it was 3 hits, but only 2 of them were crit. The second hit was actually not a crit.
Was it really?
It was not a crit.
Interesting.
It was just enough. Like in RTA, like that's how it works too. Like if you get 2 crits, it's still usually like 1 health off.
Gotcha.
Other real quick, just like basic info. If this is the first time you've ever seen a Pokemon speedrun, in general, you generally like for the character name and the main name, you're gonna name them a single character name, which will save time over everything else. We actually picked the girl character, or MKDasher picked the girl character for this. Technically, the girl character is slower by like 5 frames, but nobody actually cares.
I feel like so the reason why the girl character can be slower is there are a few text boxes that have different text when they're talking to the boy versus the girl, and usually the girl, they tend to use longer words for whatever reason. The first one that comes to mind is the guy who sells you the Magikarp, which I know we don't have. So I don't remember all the other text boxes that
Bill is the main
Bill
one that I
slower.
remember.
Bill's slower, yeah.
That's a fun little. That was just changing which move is in the first spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would save inputs.
A little bit of optimization here and there for that. There's also a possible reroute opportunity here. So that second Pokemon that we just fought on Bugcatcher Colton, if your Squirtle has it's 14 speed or higher to speed tie, and 24 speed or higher to just straight up outspeed it, you wouldn't have to take damage from that. So instead, you would try to route in a crit, probably from the Onyx, when Onyx tackles you, to set up your torrent to go all the way through to the Rattata with the same torrent, and then you would. It's a theoretical time save if you can find a Squirtle that meets those criteria.
Nice.
And this is also different on the current route, like versus RTA, because in RTA we fight the bug catcher that's right below where we're standing instead of the last, because in order to get past it, you have to leave the route and reload. But for TAS, that is still faster because of the critical hits.
It's 7 seconds faster to fight the last, leave, and come back than to fight that guy with his 4 Pokemon.
And that makes sense that it's different than in Gen 1, because in my Gen 1 speedruns, we fight the bug catcher with the 4 pokes, because you have to walk back, and you have running shoes already at this point in the Gen 3 variant.
So I'll mention real quick before we lose before we're done with Squirtle, there was one fight where the perfect special attack IV matters, and it's right here, this Metapod. You one-shot him without a crit if you're in Torrent and you have perfect special attack. You need the crit if you're anything less than 31 and a plus special attack nature. So I'll mention there as well, as you're clearing the text boxes, if you've played the game, you'll see the little red triangle at the end of the text box. It's kind of your indicator that you can move on to the next text box. It's possible to clear that frame perfectly so that you never see those. If you happen to see one of those triangles, it's because MKDasher is setting up a manip that's about to happen.
So you saw we got a repel there as well because of wild encounter problems.
Yeah. So right now we are repelling to get us up to the point where we're gonna catch high spinner that you have to walk past, who is so frustrating. And there's our Chad, or Chadette, if you will.
Can I just say I love Clefairy's cry in this game?
Females can still be Chads. This is a Chad. So this Clefairy is really good.
Oh yeah.
It's lonely. It has 31 HP, 31 attack, 29 special attack, 31 speed.
Yep.
It has defenses. They don't matter.
The HP actually doesn't matter either, even though it's 31 HP. So the 31 attack matters. Like, this is another case where it's really one fight where the perfect attack matters. There's one fight very late in the run. I'll just kind of drop the teaser here for much later on. There's one fight. The speed, I think, matters for 1 or 2 fights as well.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that's interesting with tassing Pokemon versus RTA is we mentioned not having to pick up many items, but like even rare candies are like not even that good in TAS. Because when you're able to just crit everything, like you don't have to worry about clearing, killing things, and so rare candying has no effect.
This Rattata right here, this is one where we need the real speed. You need to be at least 30 speed IV, or that Rattata outspeeds you. It's a speed tie at 30 or 31.
And we instantly evolved to Clefable because Clefable has better base stats.
For sure.
Yeah.
You won't get any level up moves with it as well, I think.
Don't need them.
Yeah, you don't need them because we just teach all the other things we'll need, especially the next 2 moves.
Can I just point out, I feel really bad having tasked through this now so many times. I feel really bad for this guy. Like, he was probably having a great day. He found 2 fossils.
No.
And then some kid comes up and just mugs him and steals one.
Yeah, some 10-year-old kid.
No. No. Miguel here, I'm sorry. You deserve everything that you get. You deserve to be ground pounded by this Clefable. I have salt from this guy.
Well, you have to worry about trying to do torrent with this guy.
This Voltorb is annoying in RTA.
Oh yeah, that too. We also don't have to worry about
It's
that type advantage in the TAS here. We have in Clefable now.
well, I mean, it's not even that it has electric abilities. It doesn't. It's just the fact that it doesn't get killed in one shot in Torrent.
Just die.
Oh, lol.
It's ridiculous.
JP,
And the
it's gotta
coughing is
be
a 14
real
out of
satisfying.
16.
It's got to be real satisfying for you to watch like Martha and Miguel and Misty. All the fights that are brutal in RTA just get smashed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh, the mega moves where we get stab mega moves and a fully evolved Pokemon. How many minutes are we into the movie? Like, we can't be deeper than like 15 to 20 minutes in right now.
Nope.
Yeah, it's about there. So Clefable's real advantage comes in the game because it's a fully evolved Pokemon at a time where very few things are. You're gonna start to see, I think it's around maybe Tower Rival and Erica, where the game kind of starts to catch up to Clefable. You have to start relying on crits a little more, but in the mid game here, Clefable just smashes everything.
That's the power of stab high base power moves.
Yeah.
So, what is Clefable's ability in Gen 3?
It's Cute Charm, which unfortunately is something you have to tap around.
Oh no!
Well, on the Miguel fight, it's something you have to TAS around because Miguel gets to hit you pretty much after Giovanni won, nothing gets to attack you anymore. But yeah, I just today was being reminded as I was working on the round 2 TAS, I was being reminded that, oh god, Cute Charm, as the Grimer just kept falling in love with my poor Clefable.
So one thing that Dasher did as Clefairy is murdering the Staryu and Starmie.
Oh, Starmie. I just when I said the 3 worst things to manipulate, Starmie is the third. Because Water Pulse at this point is a much more powerful move than anything you've seen before. It does the range is many points, so you can add 1 frame of delay thinking that you're gonna influence it by 1 frame on the back end of it, and it somehow winds up you get to an earlier RNG frame. It is. I've never gotten through Starmie without having to do a menu of a nip in it. It's I hate Starmie so much. Okay, sorry, go on.
No. You're speaking my language. Okay, so we entered the center, and the reason we entered the center will become apparent after Nugget Bridge. But there is another side effect that you get from entering the center. You desync RNG. Essentially. So Pokemon centers have this weird property, whereas like when you go into the Pokemon Center, it advances in a really weird way. So Pokemon Center, normally RNG in a battle goes for twice per frame, and 1 per frame outside of a battle. Once you enter the Pokemon Center, it changes to twice outside a battle and 3 times per frame in battle, except when changing the move selection of a Pokemon.
I'll also mention, you've seen a lot of times when the few times when Clefable has to get hit or the opponent gets to make a move, our fastest option is for them to hit us with a move, tackle, smog, things like that. But with Misty's Staryu, we actually had it use Harden. Staryu pretty much 99.999% of the time will use either Harden or Water Pulse. But we don't want to take Water Pulse there because even if we can tank Water Pulse from Staryu and then Starmie, but we'll put ourselves into a low enough HP that Bridge Rival will always try to quick attack us and kill us.
Oh, interesting.
So in order to avoid the AI locking in on a move, on a priority move, we have to take the slower move on Starmie. I think I tried calcing it. If you had just an absolute monster Clefable with max defenses too, could you tank it? And I don't think you can.
You're just too low level is the problem.
Yeah. Just manip star you tackle. Yeah, I put that question out to the speedrunning Discord and said, like, does Staryu ever tackle? I see it has it, and someone said, like, I've seen this run thousands of times. I think I've seen tackle once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it once in RTA because of the AI in this game.
Yeah.
Yep, that was in fact me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
So someone in the comments mentioned the wireless adapter. So I believe that existing emulation for like any emulator, including this run was done on VBA RR at the time. Existing emulators do not have implementations of the wireless adapter, but MGBA is working on that. So potentially, if this is rewritten in MGBA in the future, it might become possible to have it emulate the wireless adapter's behavior.
So I think I had been thinking about this for a while and I never really brought it up because it was never relevant, but I'm pretty sure that the wireless adapter being in automatically does the Pokemon Center RNG. Like twice outside of battle, 3 per frame in battle. I'm
Interesting.
pretty sure it auto applies that.
That would certainly make it interesting for tasking. It kind of makes battle manipulation a little easier, a little faster, because if you need to get to an RNG value that's like 60 frames away or 60 RNG rolls away, let's say, you only have to do like 20 frames of delay instead of 30. That's weird.
Oh shoot, sorry. I forgot this. If I click off the VBA RR, it stops.
It pauses.
The movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll keep rolling here in a sec. Yeah, it's good.
We're kind of coming up to a stretch here where essentially, in a way, there's less interesting stuff to talk about because it's just going to be Clefable smashing everything.
Yeah, we're about to get to an interesting spot, but go ahead.
Yeah. So there is going to be a catch coming up, but there is a reroute opportunity that I have found, a theoretical possibility that I'll figure out whenever I get to any percent. And it kind of starts, the first change would start here with one of the moves we use on the Sandshrew. But it'd be about a 500 frame savings that I'll talk more about once we get into Vermilion.
Very cool.
Yeah, teaser for later. For right now, we're just watching Clefable punch things.
Quite literally, punch.
Yes.
And kick.
It is extremely satisfying to see all of these actually hit the target.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I especially got to imagine for an RTA runner, just watch. Oh look, Mega Kick. Oh, it hurt. It hit.
Isn't there a thing in Gen 3 where there's a Gen 3 miss, which is kind of like the Gen 1 miss, but it's because if you X-ack on one of those like X% moves, it doesn't fully bring it to 100%.
Yeah, so Mega Kick is actually the move.
Yeah.
It is just slightly less than 100%.
Yeah, I have a vivid memory of, I think, one of Gunner's runs dying because I think didn't he X-ack and Mega Kick and it still missed, or may have been X-ack into Blizzard. I don't remember.
No, it was definitely Mega Kick because I've seen that happen to him and it's happened twice to me.
Yeah. So if I understand how this works correctly, Mega Kick is supposed to be 75% accurate, and X accuracy in Gen 3, unlike Gen 1, it doesn't remove accuracy from the game. It just increases your accuracy by a third, and there's a rounding error so that it goes up from 75 to 99 instead of 100.
Yeah.
So I'll point out we're making our last catch here of the run, our Abra. This is for teleport usage. You're going to notice here, as well as we did with the Rattata and the Pidgey, that we do not nickname this. Nicknaming the Pokemon takes 104 frames, if I remember correctly. And Rattata, Pidgey, and Abra, we don't use them enough for it to be worth it. Whereas Clefable, obviously, we use it enough. Squirtle, we use it enough for it to be worth that investment of 104 frames.
Very interesting. And that's opposite of in Gen 1 when we get Charmander, we do nickname it because its name is used so much in strength and dig uses in yellow.
So Randall just pointed out something fun. So if you pick up a item on the ground, or you talk to a non-battle NPC on the exact frame that you stop moving, you'll actually like as soon as you're done with that text box, you can start moving again, and you don't get any turn frames. So it's like 7-frame optimization, something like that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask too. How many frames does a step take while running in this game?
Running is 8 frames, walking is 16, and biking is 6.
Gotcha. So that's a different compared to Gen 1 too. Where Gen 1 biking is 9 frames and walking is 17 frames. So it's a frame faster than walking in the old game, and then running is even a frame faster than biking, and then biking is 3 frames faster than old biking.
And then the mock bike in Ruby Sapphire, I think it's like 4 frames. Or
Yeah,
something.
it's literally like you're YOLO balling to do every step. Like the precision you need to do text box clears perfectly every single step in that game. It is crazy watching RTA runners use that kind of precision.
Yeah.
We also bonk off of things. In order to take turn frames.
Bonking off of things saves you turn frames there as well. I'll point out we taught Water Pulse, Misty's TM. That's our coverage move basically for things that we can't kick to death, like the Onyx that we essentially taught it for specifically.
And you delay it long enough so that like you can take advantage of all the other moves that you have, because you may as well.
Well, it actually, so you teach it over. So when you get Clefairy, it's got Pound and 3 non-damaging moves that get rid of. We get rid of 2
Encore
of them when we do
It's Encore, Sing,
and Growl.
Growl, yeah.
And Growl. So we get rid of Mega Punch and Mega Kick, or I'm sorry, we get rid of 2 of them for Mega Punch and Mega Kick, and then we get rid of the 3rd one for Water Pulse. So in theory, if you're you could rearrange the moves during something that you have that's really manip heavy, like the Starmie, and then you could teach Water Pulse at any point, really, as soon as you get it, because you don't need it until the Onyx.
So really, that's when you teach it. It matters for RNG manipulation more than anything else.
Yeah, really. I'll also point out super effective text boxes are, I think, 172 frames. I want to say somewhere around there. So we're gonna try to not use Water Pulse on things unless we absolutely have to. So you're gonna see some ground types coming up, especially in like Sylph, that we could Water Pulse certainly, but we don't want to because we can kill them with other things.
And that's part of why we wanted to catch Abra there, right? Where we were able to go straight back to Cerulean.
Exactly. Yes. I'm glad that you said the amount of time that super effective text goes, because I was pretty sure it was 3 seconds, but I never actually bothered timing it. So.
Yeah, I want to say it's 172 for super effective and something like 79 for a critical text box. So when possible, we avoid them if we can.
There's this counterintuitive principle where you want to do as much damage as possible, but where you don't need to do extra damage, you actually want to try to use the least effective moves so that you get less text.
Or neutral moves.
Neutral,
extra
not not effective. Yeah.
With the extra caveat of managing the PP, because Mega Kick only has 5 PP.
Mega Punch is 15.
Mega Punch is 20. 20. Mega Punch is 20, I think.
Oh, okay.
Mega Punch is 20. Right. Strength is 15, which we're going to teach over Mega Punch eventually. Especially later in the run, Mega Kick becomes just the main resource that we're trying to manage.
And PP management becomes very interesting in these TAS scenarios too, because you're not going to be centering as much, and with centering less, then you have to actually worry about ever
in the case of
really
this run ever.
Yeah. So you have to figure out precisely where to pick up PP items instead of using centers or using mom heal and other obscure techniques.
Yeah,
Yeah.
using non-center heals is quite important in some places.
Yeah, so we're actually going to be coming up on the potential time save that involves a non-center heal. So first we're going to pick up. So I'll note we're going out of the way to pick up a max ether here in Vermilion that we are later going to use. The potential savings that I found is going to be that after we fight Boat Rival here, we're going to make a slight detour to go out of the way, or sorry, what we can do, what we'll get, what probably the next person who does any percent will do, I guess should say. We'll go slightly out of the way and boat heal, and then we don't have to pick up that max ether. We don't have to use it, and we get to avoid several critical hit boxes and several super effective boxes as a result. I think I calced it at about 510 frames of potential savings that can be made. When I get around to any percent, I'll route it in. Whenever round 2 is done, taking up all of my time.
Yep, unopened closure here on the call is proficient in the round 2 category right now.
Oh god. Yeah, round 2.
Round 2.
So we're just smashing things. I will. We manipulate Kadabra into using teleport there instead of a damaging move. Again, this is a case where it could knock you into a range that something later on would see a killing move.
Yeah.
So
It could also use its moveset is Confusion, Kinesis, Teleport, and Disable. So Teleport is obviously the best thing because it does nothing. Usually, if it can't kill you with Confusion, it'll either disable you or Kinesis, most likely disable. So it's just faster to get Teleport fail.
Yep.
Now, unopened closure, you might know the answer to this, but is the self-destruct Geodude thing possible in Gen 3? Are you familiar with that strategy? So in the Gen 1 yellow TAS and in the blue TAS, I think it's used more in the blue one though, you are out of water moves in the hiker fight in the cave. So what you do is you thunderbolt them, and then they self-destruct, and Gen 1 miss. Boom? Yes, and they Gen 1 miss the self-destruct, so it doesn't hit you. But that probably wouldn't be possible because they can't Gen 1 the self-destruct.
There's no Gen 1 miss, but at one point in my very first time recording round 2, I ran out of PP in the rocket hideout, and so I switched something into coughing and manipulated that into booming up so that I could get through the one fight, the one Pokemon that I needed because I was out. But you can't, unfortunately, you can't make a self-destruct miss unless, I don't know, barring like Bright Powder or Double Team or something like that.
And we do have a water move here that's going to have a lot of PP available, so we don't have the same worry.
Yeah.
And with animations off here, there isn't anything like the whole flash versus shake animation in Gen 3, I believe.
There is not. I will note, by entering the gym at slightly different frames, you can manipulate. So he's able to get cans that are on the path that he was trying to go to.
No Kevin cans here, only yellow cans.
No golden cans either. It is if you just go in randomly, it's 1 in 15 to find the first can, and then anywhere from 1 in 2 to 1 in 4 for the second can, depending on which was the first one. Yep. Like if you want to get first try cans, it's 1 in 45 technically. So
yeah, the idea with the cans is that it's supposed to be that you find one can completely randomly, and then one of them is supposed to be next to the first can for the second can. But it's completely broken in Gen 1, both in red, blue, and in yellow where it was supposed to be fixed. It was still massively broken.
Yeah. So again here, this Voltorb, we manipulated it in. Again, this is because we don't want to make our HP too low, or Raichu's going to shockwave us to death. This Raichu also is the next to last thing that gets to attack us in the
Nice.
entire run.
One other thing that has to be taken into consideration when you fight this Raichu, you also have to not proc static, because that would be annoying.
Yes, on both the Pikachu and the Raichu, you need to avoid static on the Pikachu line and poison point on the Nidorans, especially all the ones you just fought on Nugget Bridge and the extended Route 25.
So we're teleporting back, and then I believe that's... Yeah, we get the bike immediately after. Something interesting about the bike, and this was discovered for RTA, but I'm sure that it's relevant in TAS as well. There's music lag if you are in the bike music when you go to enter an area. If you get off the bike and then go to leave the area, like just in time for the music to switch back, you'll actually save like some lag for the music switch.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you'll see this TAS do that. I think the first time they do it is when they go into the mansion in Celadon. When they go to get the tea, you'll see them hop off the bike right before they go in so that the game loads the music differently.
Yeah, it also happens in the tunnel when you go from Lavender to Celadon.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, okay.
How common is Abra on that route? It's like a 10% encounter, I think.
It's got a couple of different encounter slots. Let me see if I can.
It's Route 24.
Abra, 15%.
Oh, 15, even better.
Yeah.
Unopened with the hot strats here, being able to look up on the fly the encounter slots. Very cool.
Low, Randall. The catch rate is low.
Classic Abra.
Yeah. I feel like the catch rate is worse somehow than it was in Gen 1. Like, I remember Gen 1, great ball. But that could just be anecdotal, just me being a kid playing it. Yeah, and we're coming to that stretch I talked about where it's just Clefable smashy smashy.
Yeah, this is just going to be all the movements and optimal talking and everything like that. Like, I think the hardest fight was... I think it's still the Bulbasaur, but even then it's not like that bad.
Bulbasaur is not too bad. It's front loaded with hard stuff. Bulbasaur is manip heavy. Sammy's manip heavy. Brock is a little manip heavy, depending on HP. The Rattata so we just completely talked over it. Squirtle, when it was facing the Rattata, that we had to like go into the route and then go back out. We had to proc a bubble speed drop on turn 1 so that we could outspeed it turn 2 to kill it. That's kind of manip heavy. And then after that, the Misty, and then the Elite Four. It's a lot of just kind of smashing things and then eventually smashing things with crits.
Cool. Yeah, how close is biking around the tree versus cutting it there before you enter Rock Tunnel?
I don't know, to be honest. I looked that up. I feel like it's just accepted that like no one ever goes around, but I'd have to look
So
that
it's
up.
people don't go around in RTA either.
So there is actually a trainer blocking
Yeah,
path up,
she
so
has,
you can't
I
actually
think the trainer has the vision to hit you anyway.
Yes, so
I
you
see.
can't actually
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
different from
That's-
Gen 1, so you have
that's what
to
I was
cut
thinking,
through
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it's very slow.
Yes, very so.
Yeah, no XP needed from that trainer.
Mm-hmm.
No. Something I do enjoy, and it actually seems to be all the Gen 3 games. They use really different strats from the RTA runs. Like some of the RTAs, I think for Gen 1 and Gen 2 are pretty similar. Like it's the same main. It's obviously a little, you're still running Nidoking in Gen 1.
Mhm.
You're just, you're using it sooner and things like that. You're still running, Totodile in Gen. I think one of them actually uses Cyndaquil, but like in Ruby Sapphire, in Ruby, I think you main Swellow.
Yes, and that was part
and
of why I mentioned the abilities
yeah.
thing, because Gen 3's big thing that changes the way the TASing is done is, well, for one, the RNG
Abilities.
being different, of course, but then abilities, with Swellow just being completely broken from a TAS perspective, being able to put Quick Claw, because you also have held items from Gen 2, right? You bring in held items and then abilities, and so you have Quick Claw combined with Paralysis not being a factor in TAS, combined with the Guts ability just being this ridiculously broken combination.
Yeah, so Ruby and Emerald both. So all the Gen 3 games really abuse something to TAS. Ruby and Emerald both abuse Guts. They get something paralyzed. In Ruby, it's Swellow, and in Emerald, it's a Machoke. They get it paralyzed. They put a Quick Claw on it. They teach it Facade, and they just smash with the whole game. We don't have access. I mean, the best access we have in this to Guts is Rattata, who falls off even worse in the late game than Clefable, so we can't run Guts on the Rat. Plus, you get Quick Claw really late here. But Clefable, in this case, just abuses Stab. And the fact that they have those two move tutors teaching you 80 and 120 power moves after one gym.
The Repel ran out there, and there's enough time to get to the trainer without having to reactivate Repel. Plus, because Repel only lasts 100 steps, it's not going to last the entirety of Rock Tunnel anyway for the last Repel that's there, so just moving forward is easier. Like I'm also just like enjoying the side to side movement. Like when it was going from the hiker to the ladder in the last fight, just like seeing the diagonal movement there was hilarious.
Yeah, that diagonal movement does not actually save or lose any time. It's just extra.
It's just swag. Exactly.
And you see these hikers. This is part of the reason that we have Water Pulse. This is also part of the reason why Guts Rattata, because Rattata's coverage it does not get the same coverage. It doesn't learn Water Pulse. So you have nothing for these rock types.
Yeah. Fun fact though, Rattata does learn Blizzard.
It does. It learns Ice Beam and Blizzard.
Wait, do you mean Rattata learns it or Eradicate learns it? Because
Rattata specifically.
I think
Rattata specifically for me, but
oh boy, that's funny.
You how do I know this? Reasons. Don't worry about it.
Nobody's ever run alt main categories. Alt main tassing. That's the next frontier of Pokemon, right?
I'll say that should be the project that I work on next, is just doing alt main runs of everything.
Well, if you get a thing going like Mr. Wint's scripting, you can just like change the starter from this to that, and then run a button and build a new task.
I can finally give Bulbasaur % some love.
Oh no.
And some more Clefable Smashy.
Yeah.
Was that an
This is
intentional
the end of
delay there, or
Rock
is that
Tunnel,
just
so.
how long the game waits?
That is an intentional delay there. So this Pidgey is a range, but you can either wait in the move selection screen or you can wait beforehand. You need to move the RNG along. So it's really just kind of personal preference. Very quick movement note. We hopped the second ledge there. It's a couple frames faster to do that.
Yeah, same thing in
Yeah.
Gen 1. We're hopping the ledges faster than biking around.
I'll also note a difference here between the TAS and the RTA. The TAS fights the gamer down below here instead of the last here where they're two Clefairies.
The RTA does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said that backwards.
It's okay.
Yeah, the RTA fights the gamer because he's got fire types and they're safer fights. But I think, do they both have Intimidate or just one of them?
Just Growlithe has Intimidate.
Just the Growlithe.
Vulpix doesn't have it.
The Vulpix doesn't have it. But yeah, Intimidate is slow. That's kind of one of the unfortunate things about having to pick Squirtle as the starter is you set the rival up with 2 Intimidators, which is a drag for some fight later on. Here we go. We're biking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Gen 1, we're not able to fight that different trainer there because there's like a couple experience points problem from that trainer versus the Gambler.
I'm guarding this poster.
Very ominous. Very ominous poster.
Yeah.
What a poster boy for Rocket.
Oh, the puns! Coming in hot.
I'm sorry, my guard was down. So, yeah,
This is
See, my Mega Kicks may always
TiKevin83 making
miss.
a donation for the poster.
My Mega Kicks may always miss, but my puns are on point. And I am sorry if I immediately dropped all the viewers from your channel, TiKevin. Fun fact, that spinner there has 5 Pokemon. Don't hit it.
People watching the TiKevin83 stream? What?
it's kind of weird. Some of the areas that you go into, so when you went into Rock, kind of cut screen, a nice little artist drawing of it. Some of them can be skipped or fast forwarded through by pressing B, frame perfectly. Some of them can't.
It all depends on if they have music that starts in that frame.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have music, you can press B to skip it. If they do
think-
have music, you got to sit through it.
I think it's primarily, I've noticed it was Cave. I think you can skip. I think
Yeah,
Mount
Caves
Moon
you can skip.
Rock Tunnel you can skip. I can't remember if you can skip Victory
It's
Road.
Pokemon Tower, Victory Road,
Mm-hmm.
and Rocket Hideout in round 2.
Yeah.
Or
The
Warehouse in
warehouse.
round 2. Yeah.
Very cool.
And Icefall Cave. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We pick up this Moonstone only because it's in our way.
Nice.
That's literally the only reason.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of strategy like filling up your bag with 20 items to prevent getting TMs, or is it just you always get the stuff?
You don't. Yeah, you don't have to do that in this game. Everything's got different. So you don't. You can't fill up on TMs. Or-
Right, because you have like different areas of your bag now in
Yeah.
Gen 3.
Yeah. And TMs have the TM case has exactly enough to hold all 50 TMs and all 7 HMs.
Nice.
So if I right Rocket first, in order to get some better ranges, I guess. You can do it in either order. You just have to beat both to open the door. In RTA, I'm actually going to switch to fighting right first if I'm in Torrent with Squirtle, because you can one-shot this Arbok. Plus, it allows you to get a better range on the Ekans with the water gun.
Yeah, we do fight the right Rocket first, so we can get 32 for left Rocket, who's got 2 Pokemon in the Sandshrew, who are a little bulkier than the Ekans line.
Gotcha.
It's always fun seeing the crit manips as well, because it's either lots and lots of move selection or like a couple help menus.
Yeah, the clicking in the move selection is very satisfying to my ears.
Only 4 help menus so far. Just you wait.
Oh, it'll get more crazy later.
Wait till the Elite Four. So coming up here on Giovanni, will be time that one of our opponents gets to attack us. Giovanni's Kangaskhan outspeeds us. Nothing we can do about it. We've already got perfect speed, Ivy.
Fortunately, it has a move that
It's got bite.
Bite
doesn't do anything. Bite doesn't do anything meaningless.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could actually manipulate Mega Punch Miss from this Kangaskhan, but it's
actually it's faster in general. It's faster for them to hit you with something that doesn't do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. Bite never flinches.
If Bite
this is a lie.
If Bite flinches, you go back and add 1 frame of delay so that Bite doesn't flinch.
So we've gotten to a point now. Then we have not though. Where we're one-shotting everything first. We got hit first by that Kangaskhan.
We're one-shot. We one-shotted everything from the Voltorb, from Miguel's Voltorb onward, and we will through the run. This Kangaskhan is the last thing that gets to go first.
Gotcha.
Because we're going to outspeed everything until we get the Quick Claw, and then once we've got the Quick Claw, we're going to Quick Claw proc anything we don't outspeed.
Mm-hmm. So just go ahead and get Fly now, may as well, because we can use it.
Yep.
Oh, nice. You don't have to get off the bike there, so you don't have to worry about timing biking versus running through the pass.
Oh, and he manipulates walking forward.
He manipulates the girl into walking forward to save 1 step in the house.
The value!
16 frames tops.
It's always like the best day when you get to this in RTA and she walks down. It's the greatest feeling.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit of time save available there. You'll notice the in the fly menu, he moved straight across left to right. It adds 1 frame of lag to move the cursor over a place. So when you when you cursor over Celadon, for example, aim for the.
So you just go. So I assume that making it faster would just go 1 frame down, 1 frame up, and it's faster.
Yeah. So on your first
sorry.
moving right, you also move up.
Yeah.
There's a question here in the chat. Is it faster to go into Lavender? And it is not. I tried it. Actually,
he's tried it.
On my rough draft R2 TAS, I tried it, didn't know enough about branching yet, and accidentally left in the part where I went into the center.
Oh no!
Oops.
And didn't realize it until I was watching the video much later and said, "Ask."
Well, that's more time.
That's why it was a rough draft.
Rough drafts are great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kadabra's probably so. It's easy to kill there. The whole Abra line is so weak.
They are. It starts to get harder later on. Just the Gyarados and the Growlithe /Arcanine both have Intimidate, and they, depending on what order you're facing them in, if you get to the Abra line after the Growlithe and the Gyarados, then your attack is sometimes cut so much that you need the crit anyway.
Gotcha.
So something that's done here in the TAS, but not in the RTA, is that the heal pad is going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that you don't take the heal pad in RTA is because you need Torrent.
Yes.
Like, it's required.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need that in this game. So you just take the heal pad and get a free PP refresh.
Yeah. That actually is the last heal of the run. We heal PP at some points, but that's it.
No spell tag. Nope. No spell tag needed.
Have to crit the Haunter with Water Pulse in order to get it, because that's the only thing that can knock out these ghost types.
Yep. And that's the ghost types and the rock types. That's why we've got Water Pulse there.
At least it's not Rock Slide. Yeah. Yeah.
So coming up, this Marowak that we can't catch. Actually, I believe does not die to Water Pulse. That Marowak, fun fact, has perfect IVs that you
Yes.
cannot catch.
Yeah, it is the mother of all mothers.
Yes.
I was going to ask, how do we kill the Ghastlies when we have so many normal moves? But then that was answered very quickly when we got Water Pulse all the way back in Cerulean.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a bit of a game breaker. The Water Pulse was the 8th gym TM in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and now it's the 2nd gym TM.
Yeah.
So much better there. Like if you got Water Pulse that early in Ruby Sapphire, I'm pretty sure that the route would be very different.
So
Yeah.
that was an example there, right, where the crit text is faster than the super effective text?
Super effective, yes. And again, I'm not positive that the super effective even kills the Marowak, because Marowak is tankier than you realize. Like it's still not, but
Very interesting.
So, another fun fact. So, we're walking straight up through here. We mentioned that talking to trainers is faster, but it is actually faster in this specific area to have each of the grunts walk up to you and talk to you.
yeah. I believe that's because they have to, after they lose, they walk off screen, so you're giving them fewer tiles to have to do afterwards.
That is correct. Yeah.
I think the
I
RTA
don't.
does this.
Yes. Yeah. Again, the RTA does this because it's faster there too. I forget exactly how much faster it is. I don't exactly remember, but I just know that it is faster.
And one thing that's nice about the tower here is Fuji actually essentially escape ropes you for you. He gets you out of here, so it's one escape rope you don't have to use. So we bought 4 escape ropes in Pewter City, and those are the ones we're going to use for. We're not going to use dig, even though we get a dig TM and we've got things that can learn dig. It's just slower to use dig than it is to use the escape ropes. So dig just sits in our bag.
Ooh, that's interesting that we get repel wore off text. Do we not keep up repel constantly to avoid that text going away?
No, because of the whole encounter problem where it's always advancing. It's actually always advancing even when repel is on. So because of the timing of where the repel runs off, we take one step into the fight. Even if that would be an encounter tile, we're about to enter a fight, so that overrides it, and then we get reset to 1%. So
Interesting.
it's still better there.
And then we're about to go to a stretch where we don't have encounters anyway.
Cool.
Because we're about to leave here, go to Erica, and then we're not going to have the possibility for encounters until we're in.
Does the TAS have the problem at all of having to worry about the lead Pokemon's level being lower than any of the encounter slots?
Not that. No, it doesn't.
So the only place where it could be relevant is Mountain Moon, and that's
Yeah.
just because you have a level 12 Clefairy and you could run into another level 12 Clefairy. That's the only spot I can think of that it would be relevant at.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the encounters must be a lot lower level in this variant.
Yeah, I think they're not too high level. Very obviously, since the whole starts to over level its competition. I think if you were doing round 2 and going into Cerulean Cave for Mewtwo, I'm not doing anyway. I think it's still slower. If you were going into Cerulean Cave to try to get the Mewtwo, you hit encounters, I think. Pretty sure some of the things in there.
So left side instead of right side, even with this, even with the visual walk up, because there's less Pokemon on this side.
Nice. Yeah, mentioning the Mewtwo thing is very interesting. I once had a discussion while trying to figure out the TASVideos rules for the Gen 1 TASes. Okay, so if you're gonna say that this has to do all the story, then shouldn't we follow the Pokemon Legends anime, where part of the story relevant is to go catch Mewtwo, and so the story should actually end after we go catch Mewtwo? Like, just trying to point out like the bad logic of trying to match up the story elements to the speedrun
I mean,
category.
if you're trying to follow the story, why don't we catch all those Tauros in the Safari Zone? If that
Exactly. We should be tassing Ash %.
Yeah. So I'll note here, I mentioned Clefable is really strong in kind of the mid game, and then the competition starts to catch up with them. You're going to see it here. We need crits on all 3 of Erica's Pokemon to take them out.
Yep.
They're starting to catch.
Yep. You could actually Mega Kick these 3 Pokemon as well. You don't have to Mega Punch crit them, but by doing Mega Punch crit, you get to skip picking up an extra healing item for PP. So it's just better to do it this way.
Yeah, Mega Kick PP is becoming kind of big resource. We're only kicking things where it's.
Yeah, you only kick the things where there's literally no other option.
There are 2 of them, I think, in Koga, if I remember correctly. Beat Erica.
Yep.
Tough fight.
Must be nice. I mean, to be fair, the Erica fight in RTA isn't actually that bad. The only problem is, A, you have to be in Torrent, and B, you need to hit a Blizzard without an X accuracy.
Yeah.
Like, those are the only 2 problems.
With Blizzard's accuracy being reduced from Gen 1, where it's 90% to 75%.
70%.
70%.
It's 70%. Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
And
but it's not.
We got off the bike going into the building.
Oh, the strategy!
Oh, and there's the RNG manip. The Pokemon don't get in your way in this building.
Amazing.
Oh. Well, that's
So much
in the way.
value in one TAS.
Yep. We'll also be doing a manip on these bikers because they're all actually facing down and in the way. But actually, no. With this, you should just be able to bike down and around. I actually forget what happens here.
We dodge.
Yeah. It should just be
Weave
down
around.
and around. Nobody moves.
No, I think they do. They do move, but we dodge them.
Guess we'll find out. Yeah.
We just programmer
Top guy
them.
moves
dodge.
left. Yeah.
And this is another stretch where you don't have to do a whole lot of inputs.
Yeah, the slope of
Cycling road just takes it for you.
Well, actually, you should still hold down the down input because you will still go faster on that slope. I'm pretty sure you go mock bike speed.
I'll try that out.
That could be an interesting thing to look at for the TAS.
I will look at that. I don't know whether or not.
Yeah, PulseFX tested it, and I'm pretty sure that is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So we need repels because we're out of repels, and this is the first spot where it's convenient to get repels.
This is also, I think, the quickest, or it's the least out of the way.
Yep.
We need him here for Safari. So all these Pokemon that we're gonna catch, no.
Yeah, that's why we go to the Safari Zone, right? Is we need to catch Pokemon in the Safari Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd ask your experience with with this, but I think I already know the answer.
So just to clarify for anybody who's not familiar, in round 2, you have something kind of like the way the new Let's Go games work, where you have a requirement of a certain number of Pokemon you need to catch first before you can fight the Elite Four's round 2, like higher level Pokemon. And is it also that you need those Pokemon to get into the Sevi Islands?
Koga's. Yeah.
So the requirements for round 2 are you need to have 60 Pokemon and get the national dex. You need to clear the Sevi Islands side quest, which is Lostel and Rocket Warehouse, and you need to beat the Elite Four.
Yeah. So a couple things I'll point out here before I touch on Safari in round 2 again. We Claw. And we also, when we came into this area, we ran to the Gold Teeth and then got on the bike. It was faster due to the way the game loads music.
Nice.
And just a quick teaser, in the round 2 TAS, we catch everything that we can in the Safari Zone. I believe I clocked my first draft was 15 catches in 7 minutes 38 seconds.
That was pretty good.
It's interesting that music loading is so relevant in this task too, because in Gen 1, one of the only outstanding things I know of to improve in the blue and yellow glitchless tasks is there's a place where you can menu at a different point and get a different audio transition override to kill some music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we punch. Drowsy. And we just punch. Punch. Koga's coming up. Koga's got a couple of Muck and Weezing are like bulky. So those get kicks. And then we've got a big menu coming up after that.
Mm-hmm. One interesting thing, the spinner that was dodged around, its vision is actually 4. So in RTA you actually have to hug the wall at the very bottom in order to dodge it. If you walk up one tile, in order to do more optimized movement, he can see you from there.
Yep. And also, depending on your ROM and your screen, sometimes the visible tiles here are not possible to discern.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I learned that my monitor was.
Hey Thunder, yes, we've got, for anybody who's just coming in now, later in the run, we've got JP Xinnam from the RTA scene and unopenedclosure, a new FireRed Leaf Green Round 2 TASer on the call with us, watching and commentating MKDasher's old TAS of FireRed Leaf Green 80%.
Mm-hmm. It is a classic heavy luck manip TAS.
Oh yeah,
one of the greats. One of those tasks that's been out there for a long time and still only has a couple optimizations we've talked about, very minor.
Yeah, this task came out in
2014, I think.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
No, this task came out in 2013. Its submission date was 2013, 12/28.
Wow. So getting on 8 years.
So have you considered Abra teleporting out of here and then flying to Pallet Town?
Flying. I don't. Can you teleport out of this gym?
Actually, I don't think you can. Actually, well, you might be able to.
The only gym I know you can escape rope out of Sabrina's. I don't
Yes.
think you can. I don't think you can anything out of that gym. I think you just
Can't tell you out by Thunder. Okay, yeah. I don't have an Abra when I'm there, so.
Not something that comes up very often.
No, I tested it out. I even considered Sevi's. Maybe you can. Once you get fly just outclasses teleport.
And there's
so
nowhere
you'll
you can
notice
do a poison death warp type strategy to get around a cutscene.
No. You'll notice that we gave Clefable the Quick Claw. We are teaching Surf to our Squirtle. Before we were done with Squirtle, we also rearranged our moves so that Tackle was in the first position. That saved us a couple of frames from when it has to write out, I forgot, move name. Obviously, Tackle has fewer characters than things like Withdraw. We also taught Clefable Strength over Mega Punch. The two moves have the same amount of... They do the same amount of damage. Strength has fewer PP, but it also has a shorter name and higher accuracy.
So Quick Claw is you always go first, right?
No,
that's the ability, right?
Well, so Quick Claw, yeah. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Quick Claw means you. For those who are not manipulating the orange, Claw is 20% to go first. And if it's a speed tie, so we just recently did the math on this.
Yes, I actually helped with this. This is something in
you
Gen 3 that I helped
with this. If it's a speed tie and you have the Quick Claw, it's 60% to go first because it does the Quick Claw proc first. And if it failed the quick claw proc, then it does the speed tie calculation.
Yeah, if it succeeds the quick claw proc, it sets the speed of your Pokemon to the maximum size of the integer. It's like
Yeah.
it's a massive number.
Yeah. So yes, it theoretically could be a speed tie if your opponent had
max
65,536 speed. And you'll notice we rearrange our moves to go up in the move or the item menu. I said moves. Our items. That is because it scrolls faster when it's on the select. When you've got select on to rearrange items.
Yeah, it's something I actually need to practice for RTA because it is much faster, but it's frame perfect.
Yeah.
So you got to be good at getting through that.
Yeah.
I know that Chiru does it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm forgetting that clicking off is pausing the emulator again. We're good.
Yeah, it's fine.
And look at this. In the TAS, we get all the questions right.
Wow.
Somebody tell Huang, bro.
Dang.
So the Blaine fight coming up is a case study in the whole super effective text being so slow, it's not worth it. Even though we've got Water Pulse and he's got Fire types, we don't use Water Pulse. And actually, some of his Fire types are so bulky that Water Pulse won't even do it.
Yeah, Rapidash and Arcanine,
yeah.
it won't even work.
Yeah.
Like, you could crit, but it's still not worth it.
And you'll also notice we rearranged our move pound into slot 1. We frequently rearrange our moves to teach new moves because it takes 14 frames to scroll one move slot during the move teaching. So we move pound to slot 1 because we're about to teach over. And there's a Barkanine on screen.
Yes, a Barkanine. This is Jerry, for anybody who isn't very familiar with my stream. Jerry is a shelter dog I adopted a few months ago.
Gary is adorable.
He is totes adorbs. And if you are ever in my Discord, you will get lots of Jerry pictures.
All right, and Blaine's down.
And we've defeated Blaine. We're going to be very careful and say no, or else the run ends.
Yeah, you have to be very careful of that in RTA because you don't want to suddenly start a round 2 run.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, if you accidentally say yes, you're stuck. You can't get off a Sevi until you finish the
That is correct, because it won't let you get on the boat again, and you actually can't even use the computer until you clear the side quests because they're fixing the computer in the centers.
We are, however, going to do something. We get Cinnabar. We are going to go teach our Clefable Metronome, which we're going to need a lot of for the Elite Four.
This is the reason this TAS is. Oh, it even manips for it to walk forward.
All the value.
All right, so Metronome. There are 339 different moves that Metronome can do.
I think we decided, was it 336? I think we said there's 300.
I'm looking at the actual task notes that MKDasher has. It says 339.
Okay.
There are 18 moves that are disqualified for sure. That I counted. But according to MKDasher's notes, it's 339.
I thought it was 336, whatever. 336, 339. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, 9 and 6 are close. It could have been an error in the submission.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As we just kind of mentioned with Blaine, Pulse is starting to hit the point where it's a little underpowered for some of the things we're fighting. So some of the things we've got coming up, Water Pulse really isn't going to do the trick. So
No. But that's why we've got the King move, the Joker, the wild card.
The ace in the hole. If we can make enough card puns out of this.
And this
Just believe in the heart of the cards.
This spinner is a little annoying. I think is he by default facing up whenever you come into this area one way or another?
Yes,
Yeah,
he loads up.
I don't like manipulating this spinner either. I forgot how much I hate this guy. All right, and it is so weird to see how little of this dungeon we actually do. I know the RTA basically does about the same amount, but
It is the exact amount, in fact.
yeah.
Level 5. We haven't seen this guy in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. So interestingly, as you continue to fight the game, the natures of his Pokemon change and the IVs increase. I guess it's their way of just kind of making him a tougher and tougher. I know when you fight him on Nugget Bridge, he's got all 6s for his IVs. I think his Bulbasaur has maybe 8s or 10s. And by the time that you face him as Champ 1, he has perfect IVs. I don't remember what his IVs are at this point. But you'll notice here, again, we strength the Growlithe. Even crit strength is faster than super effective water. And this Alakazam, now we're going to have, because we took 2 Intimidates. So our attack is now dropped so far. Or has now dropped to the point where we can't just strengthen.
It's the nature has to do with the amount of characters in the name. Like it's the name of the Pokemon and the name of the trainer. That's why natures are actually different in Japanese.
That's also interesting because that was something confusing. That actually explains something, because what I was working off of for trainer data was a spreadsheet that was created, I think, for Charizard. And I'm noticing that some of the stats don't agree, and that kind of makes sense now, that like their natures are different because just a different thing.
Very interesting stuff.
Exactly why it changes.
I think also some of the natures different because as you get to the fight, things have natures that are like good. Like sometimes in the early game, you'll have things like an Onix or a Geodude that's got a minus attack plus special attack nature. Because the game, they're trying to make it easy for you early in the game. Later in the game, you get things like an Adamant Onix or something like that. That, because Onix isn't going to use a special attack anyway.
There's one of our few uses of Mega Kick. Gotta get rid of that Nidorino.
I think this fight's pretty kick heavy, if I remember correctly, because we're starting to face some tanks.
Is Clefable also one of the medium slow Pokemon XP curves?
No, Clefable is fast, I believe.
Oh, so it's like super good.
No, it's fast. It's fast. It's fast, actually.
Yeah, because I know like there's this weird thing where medium fast is slower than medium slow, because it's talking about the end level curve, and not so much the beginning of the level curve. But then fast is probably faster than medium slow through the early game.
Yeah, I believe fast is faster throughout. Clefable is fast curve.
So that explains why we're able to be level 45 here already. We're getting we don't need as much experience as you normally would to level up.
We're gonna be a touch under level by the time that we get to some of the last fights in the game, but we're never like crazy. We're never as far under level as the RTA run is.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, with the RTA run, you have to get candies in order to get to the same level. Because, like, when we fight Giovanni 2 with RTA, we have to use all of our candies by the time we're there in order to actually hit level 46. And you're level 45 without doing anything extra with the Clefairy.
Mm-hmm. And here's Sabrina. This might be one of the last fights we don't need. Oh no, we do need a crit for this fight. I'm sorry. One crit for this fight. Never mind. And who needs healing? Not us.
Actually, no. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm reading the wrong notes. I have both the Squirtle task notes and the Clefable task notes up, and I was on the wrong one.
Yeah. Luckily, a lot of Sabrina's team have kind of weak fights, so we can hit them with strength. Non-crit strength. The Venomoth is just bulky enough that we need to crit it. Mm-hmm. Venomoth is bulky. Never thought I'd say that. Even Alakazam.
I do not believe there is a specific reason to use the C character for the Clefairy.
Yeah.
It's for the memes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's given the one character name because it takes one frame to write each letter of its name out. So if it has to write Clefable each time, that's 8 characters every time we send it out.
Classic stuff.
We named it C just cuz.
2 frames improvement just found. Easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, definitely not a speed entertainment trade-off there. Definitely a totally viable improvement. We have actually, if you go back and rewatch this, because we're going to get this up on YouTube, you will hear some actual possible improvements in this commentary.
Yeah. I honestly, I think, given how many times Clefable comes out, there is probably at least a second or two worth of time save, I guess, if you named it A instead of C. Or no, I'm sorry. What am I saying? Let's pretend I didn't say that. I don't know, just a brain cramp. I was like, oh, it takes 2.
Yeah, no. It's.
I get where your brain was going. It's all good. We're on the same.
Well, funny thing is, like, when you name, when you actually name the player character, that all those inputs actually matter. So getting to I is actually required to get the RNG seed you need. So
yeah, it's possible to get that seed without it. So after you press the A to accept your name, some number of frames after it, and I don't remember offhand what it is.
I think it's 24.
That sounds right. Is when it finally spits out the seed. So you can press A immediately after that A press, any number of times, to essentially like holding A after you said A, start A, and you can manipulate into within 16 of a particular seed value. So if you didn't want to name yourself I and still get this RNG seed, you could do it.
Once again, manipulating the crit.
Yes.
This is also a different order on these Pokemon as well than you would normally get with the RTA route. The Cool Trainers actually have smart AI, funny enough. So, like, if you were to actually, for some reason, if you, like, were on a casual run, I guess this would happen, let them go first. They would have smart AI to try to beat you.
So there's a question in the chat that we covered earlier, but I'll go over it real quick because there's not a lot to say on Giovanni. IVs of the Clefable, Lonely Nature, so plus attack minus defense, 31 HP, which is nice, but it doesn't actually matter, 31 attack, 19 defense, 29 special attack, 17 SPDEF, and 31 speed. So perfect attack, perfect speed, 29 special attack.
You don't
perfect
really
HP
need...
just cuz.
Yeah.
This is not a console verification, Crazy Jesse. We're just updating the commentary and the encode to be 60 FPS. We're doing this as a prep for submission for Calithon, and also we've tried console verifying FireRed Leaf Green using MGBA, and the timings are not quite accurate enough to get the right trainer ID at the beginning yet. So hopefully that is improvement available on the horizon in the next couple of years. But it is not an easy thing to fix because it's the Game Boy Advance is not nearly on the same level as the Game Boy and Game Boy Color for the level of accuracy necessary to get that kind of timing right.
It's one of the reasons that emulator allowance for the leaderboards in Gen 3 has been a hot button issue. Right, all the badges.
We have badges.
Did we have badge boosts in this run, or is that not a thing?
Yes. Yes, there are badge boosts in this run. Brock gives you attack, Surge gives you speed, Koga gives you both special stats, and I think Blaine gives you defense. Do I have that right? I know Brock is attack and Koga is special.
That sounds much more
Pretty
sane
sure
than
you're
the Gen 1 system of
Yeah.
Surge giving you the defense badge boost.
Yeah. The attack one actually I think is necessary. I think without the attack boost, you couldn't beat the Starmie. You could not one-shot Misty Starmie. One more reason to hate that stupid thing. I think that Starmie is like a 1 in 8 range to Mega Kick crit. No, I'm going back to a gym trainer, the second gym. Yeah, God, I hate that Starmie. Anyway, we're just bulldozing through our rival here.
Yeah, it's Surge's defense in Gen 1, speed in Gen 3.
If only we could rename
And then
moves
Blaine
so
is
you could call
special.
water pulse effects.
Blaine is special attack and special defense, and Koga is defense.
Oh, I had it back. Okay.
And so for reference, the RTA world record for this game is what, a 202 right now?
201.40.
201.40. So just breaking below the 202 mark into the 201s, and the TAS here is getting a time in the 144s. So approximately 17 minutes faster in TAS. And even faster than that, because the 1728 is including some time in the beginning that you would not have in the RTA run, but it's also possibly excluding some time at the end, because TAS's end at last input, and the last input is actually much sooner in TAS than that fade out frame that we're usually split.
Right. Yeah, it's actually the A press that starts the fade out. So
there's some interesting back and forth there of how TAS timing works, but it's approximately 17 minutes faster than an RTA run, which is
So you might
interesting
have
because it's
noticed-
like a similar gap between. It's like 16 minutes faster in the Gen 1 runs.
You might have noticed in that fight we had to crit just about everything. Like I said, the game has caught up to Clefable at this point. So we need crits to kill things.
fun fact, Thunder, because when the time change happened from in-game time to RTA for Pokemon overall, it took a while for me to remember to actually press A to get through the Hall of Fame. Because like usually you just beat champion and that was it, and you just take your time.
So here again, because we are out leveling everything, our max repels are going to be able to let us avoid all the Pokemon in Victory Road, and not have to worry about manipulating any of the RNG.
Yep.
Which we
Also,
can't
you
do
talk
anyway.
to
Which, yes, we can't even
the,
do that with the encounters because the encounters are on a script.
Yeah. So you talk to Thunder Badge Checker and Earth Badge Checker, and you get to save a turn frame because the guards don't have to turn.
Boulder's not being
Then-
laggy PogChamp.
Yeah. Ain't that the best?
And
Yeah, this is literally just pushing boulders.
Mhm.
So there's nothing going on here.
No swag boulder.
Shameless
No.
plug the tourney, but the tournament will be over by the time most people watch this in the future. There is a FireRed Leaf
We'll just
Green
have to
tournament going on
constantly
right
be
now.
holding FireRed Leaf Green tournaments so that the reference never becomes outdated.
Oh, you're right. Save a walk turn frame, bike turn frame equals 7 frames.
Yes, that is
Yes.
correct. Oh no, sorry. Bike.
Does bike have turn frames?
I think it's 5. I think that's 5 frames save if you're on the bike. I think it's 7 frames if you're running. But we're coming up to because we're after a long stretch of kind of not having a ton to say. We're coming up to a much more manip heavy section of the game. So I'll mention here that you're gonna see us do something that kind of costs us time. Which is we're not going to deposit our HM funds in the PC prior to entering the Elite Four. The reason for that is some of the metronomes that we need to do are really, really specific. We said, 336, 339 options. In one case, we are looking for one move, exactly one move. So we need the RNG to be in specific places for those fights, and it just isn't in the right place right now if you take the 700 or so frames to go deposit your things in the PC. So we just have to kind of take that time loss.
Yeah, so that's just a weird artifact of how rare the metronome calls are for specific things, and the RNG being on such a specific script that you can't really manipulate.
Yeah. So we're going to have 3 metronomes coming up here in Laurel. First, we're going to kick the dugong. That's going to be fun. And then Cloister. There are exactly 3 moves. Oh, menu minute. Someone was keeping count at some
That's
point.
5!
Yep, that's 5.
Yeah.
The Cloister has shell armor.
Yeah, so we can't crit it, but we get a total of 3 moves that we can use on this. Thunderbolt, Zap Cannon, and Thunder would all kill it. So there's Thunder.
Nice. And Thunder has the shortest text of those things.
It does.
The value!
Then Slowbro, also 3 moves. It's the same 3 moves, but now you need a crit. So he manipped Zap Cannon and then went into critical hit.
Yeah, because the critical hit proc happens after the text appears
Yes.
for A used B.
Yeah.
So
Now Lapras, here's the bad one. 1 move kills this Lapras.
literally
Low
just
kick.
It is a high roll crit low kick.
it is literally just low kick.
The value!
I actually think it might be possible to use an Oko move on these things, but I think the accuracy check for if you metronome an Oko move actually happens before like the move gets picked.
Oh,
it's
so you
just a
have to
nightmare.
manipulate
That's
this
correct.
chaining of the accuracy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
so-
oh, that's awful.
So shameless plug for my rough draft R2 run that's on YouTube. I did actually YOLO sheer cold the Slowbro.
Oh, jeez. By the
Just-
way, metronome plus a metronome getting the move you want plus a critical hit
Plus
is
possibly a
one-
range.
Yeah, plus possibly a range is 1 in, well, without the range.
Without the range.
154-24. 1 in 54-24.
Yeah.
So
Now,
Yeah.
metronome, the reason we're not using it, since essentially it's just a multi-purpose kill move, is it's slow. It takes a long time. It just in general, it takes a while. It takes like a couple seconds for metronome to finish displaying its text. Then you've got all the time needed to manipulate through 339 or 336 different move options. Then you've got the time to manipulate the crit and the range. So that's another case where we're only using metronome when needed. Because it's too slow to use it on everything that we could use it on.
fortunately, Bruno doesn't need metronome. So
Bruno doesn't need it. Agatha does.
Yes, it does. Agatha is a little bit easier though, because there's a lot more things that can deal with.
You have some
Gengar.
options. You have
but
more
a lot of people can
options.
deal with Gengars and Haunters, so.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Bruno has this thing that makes the timing kind of funky. You beat him, he turns away from you, and it makes
So
the
annoying in
timing a little
RTA.
weird. Yeah.
It's so annoying. I've learned to just stop trying for the bonk on him. And sometimes I still do it anyway because it's just ingrained in me to bonk.
So all of Agatha's ghosts here, we're going to metronome. Gengar number 1 here, we've got 8 options, all crits. Psybeam, Psychic, Extrasensory, Crunch, Shadow Ball, Shadow Punch, Water Spout, and Eruption.
Look at
Any
this
of those
man.
crits.
And the memorization. You definitely don't have that written down.
No, not at all. It's absolutely not sitting on a computer next to it.
Well, Crunch was the first one that you came
Yes.
to in this
Yes.
one, so that's what we ended up with.
It could theoretically be faster if you were able to find Water Spout or Eruption, since those don't have the super effective. But
Yeah,
first one of those.
it all depends on how long it is
It's-
to get
yeah.
to that frame. So
Yeah. When I was doing metronome manips, I basically just made a program that just spat out RNG values for like 500 frames and just looked through it and went, that looks like it might work. Let's try it.
extrasensory for this Gengar here.
Yep. Same list of moves minus a couple, so only 6 moves here that kill this game. And
And then the Haunter has a lot.
Haunters, oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I count 13, and I may have missed some. I was kind of going off of memory of what the big power or special moves are.
The help menu with a donation of $100.
Helping solve our charity's problems.
Yep.
So we're out of Mega Kicks now. So we have to use the last elixir that we've got.
Got
I
the
noticed that
refill.
like we're so optimal with our picking
Is it?
that you only have 2 items left in the
Mhm.
in the bag.
Yep.
Back
Is it
Lance, let's go.
theoretically faster to heal PP in battle than out of battle? Ignoring all the other stuff that goes on. Because I was wondering if it might be faster potentially to manip this Gyarados into using a not very damaging move on you and heal your PP on turn 1 instead.
That sounds like an interesting idea to check.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm actually not sure.
that's something I'll play with. Because there are a couple of times, especially in round 2, where you need to heal right before an Elite Four member. So it's something I'll play around with at some point. Metronome.
Yep.
Hydro Pump.
So the Aerodactyl can only get 1 shot with Blizzard or Hydro Pump, and Hydro Pump
Mhm.
showed up first.
Yeah.
Same thing with these Dragonites.
Mhm.
The Dragonite and 2 Dragonairs.
Yeah.
There's
So the
only Ice type moves.
so the Dragonite, you got 3 options: Ice Punch, Ice Beam, Blizzard. Blizzard, you don't need a crit, so if you get that, nice time save. The Dragonairs you can kick.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
that's
nice.
better.
Once you come back around to round 2, it's just Blizzard. You don't get kick is no longer an option.
Unopened, we had a question in the chat. Are there a lot of Quick Claw procs going off still at this point?
Oh yes,
Lots of them.
Agatha's entire team. Let me see if I can find my speed notes. Yeah, we're slow at this point. Agatha's entire team outspeeds you. Lance's Dragonite is a speed tie, if I remember correctly.
Ah.
The Aerodactyl definitely outspeeds
The
you.
Aerodactyl definitely outspeeds you.
If it's anything like Gen 1, Aerodactyl is probably the fastest thing you fight in the entire game.
On
It is,
Champ
yeah.
here, everything outspeeds you except for the Rhydon. So yes, Quick Claw procs are happening.
Coming in hot.
This is the last fight, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're almost done.
We're almost
Yeah.
done.
we've been talking about all this, and it's like, oh, hey, we're at the best music in the game.
Chant music always coming in very hot in Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 more metronomes coming too.
Yep.
2 more
Gyarados
metronomes,
is-
and there was something that I teased. Just the opportunity to pay it off. Oh, I didn't. So, metronome number 1, Gyarados. We cannot Mega Kick this Gyarados, unlike Lance's 5 options here. Shockwave, Thunder Punch, Thunderbolt, Zap Cannon, Thunder. Everything but Thunder needs a crit.
Yep. Apparently, you gotta wait a huge number of frames to get to Thunder, so it's just Thunder Punch crit as a faster option.
Arcanine. We've got 6 options here, all crits. Earthquake, Surf, Hydro Pump, Crab Hammer, Muddy Water, a High Roll Magnitude.
Oh, that isn't even listed in
And then-
MKDasher's notes. That's hilarious.
That's
And then
interesting
here we
because,
go,
one
on
of
the very
Go ahead.
last. Perfect attack, Clefable matters. We only one-shot this Venusaur with a crit Mega Kick with perfect attack on the very last fight of the game.
Does it need to be Does it need to be a 1 in 16 crit?
It's a 2 in 16.
Ah.
Yeah, that's interesting that Magnitude works there because one of the Gen 2 TASs previously used Magnitude as like its exclusive move.
Yeah. And there we go. We are the Pokemon League champion.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much, JP Xinnam and unopenedclosure, for joining me to revitalize this really nice TAS that MKDasher made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun watching it. It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched the entire task, so it was really fun to just see it happen and see all the like stuff that got obliterated just because you can crit. So
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll be able to see an updated version of this in the future. It might not save like a ton of time over the current one, but it'll be it'll be a chunk.
Yeah, this is whenever I finish round 2, which will take a while because it's round 2 and it's very long. This is probably
Magic
gonna be the
Conch.
project.
When will unopened closure finish? Maybe some.
Okay, last input coming.
Oh,
Mm,
last input.
Alright.
That's it.
Yay!
yeah, this will be the next project. After that, eventually. God, I hope it's before the end of 2021. Yeah, and now we just stare awkwardly at each other. Oak and
As we go into the credits. Nice.
yes.
So fast.
So fast. What is? I wonder what the in-game timer is. Because we saved, so you should be able to just get in and reset and see what the in-game time is.
Gotcha.
Kind of curious.
So it's saved already now?
It should be saved already. I mean, if we
Yeah,
want to
you
sit
should
through the
be
credits, we
able,
could.
we can sit through them if you want to, but you can reset the point.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just have to quick make sure my configuration for my controller is something that I'm used to. And is it not letting me change the inputs? ZXAS? Hold on.
AS should be LR, and then enter
ZX.
backspace, our default for start select.
Enter backspace. Okay.
I think it's also something that makes.
140 in-game time.
I think FireRed differs from Leaf Green. I feel like in FireRed, the flames on that Charizard loading screen, I think those fiddle with the RNG values.
They do.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
They actually do.
Yeah.
Go into the game and then check the trainer card.
Yeah.
Because this was actually how we would time things with IGT.
Back
We
in the
would-
RTA days, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Back before RTA.
Right, back before the RTA days.
And we just trusted this game timer, which makes no sense. So yeah, it's in the trainer card, and then press A to swap it.
Oh right, it's 1:39:59 in game time. I forgot.
Oh.
I forgot about that. It's
Yup.
like literally on the button. Sub 140.
Yeah, because the save happens right after you put your Pokeballs onto the Hall of Fame, and that's what counts as the debut, and then you save the game.
We'll have to leave that as a little flair for the end of the showing at Calithon if we can get this accepted.
Yeah.